Well, let's get the latest on the situation on the ground in Gaza. We can speak to UNICEF spokesperson James Elder, who joins us now from Khan Yunis. Thank you very much indeed, James, for speaking to us. We last spoke in June, and I'm just wondering what's changed there in Gaza since you were last there. How's the situation evolved?
Oh, Tom, it always gets worse, unfortunately. It's a cumulative effect because you've got people who have been pushed to their knees. They've seen their homes destroyed. They've had denials of food, water, medicine. We've got a famine in the north. And amid all of that, as all your viewers know, the indiscriminate attacks don't finish. So again, mass displacement of people. I think it's very important. Displacement, there's something about that word. It sounds abstract. It sounds neutral. It's not. It's violent. It's repetitious. And it's ongoing for many, many people. So even since the weekend and all the statements, we've had, 15 or more children killed, heavy airstrikes over those few days in the north, heavy here in the south. So people are hanging on, Tom, but it really is only hanging on. There is a collision here amid Palestinians, a collision of great trauma, great loss, and then deprivation of all those basics that people need. So, they're holding on, but honestly, as a woman said to me today, she doesn't know for how much longer.
Yeah, one of the questions being asked is why hasn't Israel stopped its strikes on Gaza in accordance with that deal? And I just wanted to hear from you, what's the level of aerial activity above Gaza right now? Are strikes being carried out near where you are?
Today, yes, absolutely. Today was particularly bad. Constantly hearing the sound, I guess, of F-16s and airstrikes. Drones always, but airstrikes heavily. Very, very kinetic morning. So, yeah, without a doubt. And in the north, where I'm always in touch with people, I was in the north last week. Intense bombardments, not seeing any concrete change, unfortunately, when it comes to that level of military activity. And remembering so many people in the north, tens of thousands of children, and this brutal, contradictory logic that people can somehow leave. They have lost everything. They haven't got the financial means. Many of them have got wounds, or they've got an elderly parent or a child who's an amputee. They don't have the financial means to move south. They know that if they get south, they don't have a tent. They know how overcrowded it is. And they also, Tom, know that frequently these unilaterally declared so-called safe zones are also victims of airstrikes. So people don't have a choice about where to be here, because that thing that UNICEF has been saying now for 2 years, nowhere is safe in Gaza, is demonstrably true.
And just tell me about your trips to the hospitals there. What sorts of injuries are you seeing? And I'm particularly interested to hear about the children, because that's obviously the focus of your work.
Oh, look, Tom, I'm in hospitals all the time. They're war zones. I don't know. If I think just to a 30-minute period last week, literally 30 minutes at Al-Aqsa Hospital, beg your pardon, in the middle area in Daribala. I walked straight into a tent outside because, of course, the hospital is overflowing. It's way beyond capacity. There are 3 children in there who've all been shot by quadcopters. I go into the main hospital. It's children and the wounded on the floors. The scream of people because of that lack of painkillers. But the floors, hospital corridors, are awash with the wounded. There's a boy who'd been shot earlier in the day at one of these GHF militarized sites. His mum was saying he'd been on the ground for 5 hours. Finally, they got him onto a stretcher, and when they did, another child took his place in the hospital corridor. A little 5-year-old girl, Sham, she came in. She'd just been pulled from the rubble. The look of fear, terror on her face, and, of course, all the ash and smoke, dust all over her. She was lucky. Doctors got to her quickly. She didn't have internal injuries. She didn't have any broken bones. But she also hadn't been told that her mum and her sister were killed in that strike. And then I went in, Tom, to what is basically a makeshift ICU. And there's a little girl in there, Aya, and I was looking at Aya because, she's in intensive care, but she had these little hair bobs in. You could see the level of care that someone had spent on Aya on the morning before the airstrike. And as the doctor was speaking to me about her situation, her medical situation, Aya died. She just died. That's half an hour in a hospital, Tom, and that's by no means irregular.
Right, and as you paint the picture there of a desperate situation 2 years today since the violence really kicked off there in Gaza, and hard to imagine how people have the cash to buy any supplies. And, you know, even when we spoke a couple of months ago, you said that food, water, sanitation, all very, very challenging, presumably worse. And now winter's on the way. I mean, a deal cannot come soon enough for the people of Gaza, can it?
No, it really can't. Hey, everyone always asks if people hope. Palestinians are very savvy to international relations. They saw hope time and time again extinguish in 2024. But they've been denied, you know, homes and healthcare and the ability to protect their children, the ability to feed their children. They've been denied dignity. They're holding on to hope. But yeah, as you say, on cash, I mean, there are things in the market, but the prices, people talk to, I've had families explain that they go into a market to look at vegetables, to window shop for food. Now, I also did spend a lot of time today with families who get UNICEF cash assistance, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of people. It's a game changer. A particular woman, Rania, you know, her baby was severely malnourished. She got the cash, she bought the foods, we got her to a nutrition center. When I met that little baby today, that's an energized little baby. So cash is a game changer for people here. Ever more so, because whatever does come in the markets, as you say, it's winter coming. People need that winter clothing. They left with so little. People have been displaced so many times. So winter means rain. They both mean cold. They mean even more need for people to have cash and to access whatever they can in the markets. And of course, for agencies like UNICEF to be able to bring in as many winter supplies as we possibly can.
Right, so as you're saying, cash would be one way, and obviously you give an idea there to people who might be watching, wondering how they can help. That would clearly be a useful thing for people to donate towards. Just lastly, I mean, 2 years of destruction today, 2 years of violence. I mean, what sort of a collective psychological toll has this taken on Gaza's 2.2 million people?
It's a great question. I mean, unprecedented, and that's the words that a child psychologist would use. And child psychologists are also very worried when this all does end. Please make this end. When this ends, that it'll somehow get worse for a time, because people have a moment to breathe. They'll have a moment to go back and see the rubble and to realize, to reflect on having lost a mum or a loved one or a daughter. So we're in uncharted territory when it comes to trauma. UNICEF's never spoken before about every single child needing mental health support. So all the more reason why this needs to end, and it needs to end today, because it's very hard to treat those children for that trauma when it's ongoing, when they're still in a tent tonight, when they're still hearing the F-16s overhead. It's not a cliche when I talk about why Palestinians also have hope, because of their ability to bounce back. There's something in that ability over years and all the atrocities and all the crises Palestinians here have faced. There is something real, and that foundation is education. That's one of the highest literacy rates in the world. That's the teachers, the doctors, the nurses, the engineers, the computer scientists. There's a reason during the ceasefire, you know, supermarkets were suddenly full, and friends would tell me they were having cake and cappuccino. It's because they've got systems in place to bounce back with, and those systems are based on education. So there's a good, you know, real reason to be hopeful there. But those systems, that education, that healthcare, those families, that agriculture, they're all under attack. So Palestinians don't know how much longer they can hold on.
Okay, well, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us on what sound like very difficult circumstances. UNICEF spokesperson James Elder in Khan Yunis, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Tom.